Yeah, Chad, I'm looking forward to this race. It should be an interesting one. We know this is a very fast track. Um, but yeah, welcome everyone to the second round of the Sports Car Challenge. Chad, just so you know, your mic's cold.
Little technical difficulties, but we got it all sorted out because I am new to this whole producing while commentating thing. But we seem to be good now. I hope everybody can hear me at least. But yeah, round number 2 of the season. Both Challoner and Janey, your top two finishers from last week, were on top in practice. And they're looking to do the same here. And as you can tell, we've got open qualifying once again. The drivers loved it so much last week, Ray, that we are sticking with it.
Yeah, I think part of the reason they loved it so much is just it added a little bit of what we were missing from the sprint race. You get to go out there, drive real fast for 15 minutes, kind of hot lap it, and it sets your grid for that kind of feature, um, versus just the 3 lap and 10-minute hot lapping by yourself. So this adds another element to it. You see right now the 3 Spark cars are lined up, the Ferraris. I'm sure there's teamwork going on there where you're trying to get some toes and make sure you help improve your teammates' lap times on these long straightaways at the Red Bull Ring here.
Yeah, that's Schofield's in the middle with a couple other Spark cars around him. Man, these guys making mincemeat of this track. We're not even 5 minutes in, and about half the field has already put a lap down.
Yeah, it's not the longest track from what I remember, driving this in the F1 games. I haven't tried it out on iRacing yet, primarily because none of the American open wheel stuff goes that way. But it does look like quite a nice track to drive these GT cars around.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun one for sure. Here's a look at Michael Janey, last week's winner and current pole sitter. He's getting a slipstream off the car in front of him, trying to make the most of it, getting the power down. He is not, I don't believe, going to improve. He does actually, goes to a 130.184, and that's notably faster, about a second or so, maybe half a second quicker than what he was running back in the warm-up session. So Janey back to the top, familiar territory for him. Meanwhile, Christian Challoner, the second-place finisher and two-time defending champion of the series, yet to turn a lap, as he is now currently on his outlap, coming across the line for the first time. 130.841 on his first flying lap, and that's good enough for P number 2.
I don't know, Chad, who has the upper hand here. I don't really know enough about this track. It's the first time we've ever run it. I chose Janey at Barcelona. Barcelona's got a lot of corners. There's a lot of straightaways. I'm feeling good about Christian's chances tonight. I don't know about you.
Well, I'm always going to be rooting for my boy Christian. I go way back. If I have to give an unbiased opinion, I mean, just from what I've seen out of Janey, both in the practice before the race and here in qualifying as well, I think that he's got the upper hand. We picked Janey and Challoner respectively last week. I think we're gonna have to flip flop. So you're gonna take Challoner, I'll take Janey.
Yeah, I'm taking Challoner on this one. I think the McLaren. I think it's going to do well here. It's got the type of suspension you want for this type of track. Not a lot of bouncing that's going to go on for it.
And
yeah.
Taking a look here at Janey, I mean, diving into pit road. One thing you don't see too often here in iRacing is using qualifying as pit stop practice. But he just dove it down pit road and absolutely made. I mean, he hit his marks perfectly to get down to pit road speed in time. As he worked his way down into his pit stall.
Yeah, and that was something that Christian pointed out that made him faster than him last week, at Barcelona. He said he had no idea you could diamond off the pit entry that much and get away with it. And Janey did. And actually, Janey right now is one of the only people in the chat that we're hearing from. Got RC26 shouting out Drive Dead Racing with Livewire Sim Sports. So we know who he's rooting for.
Well, I mean, I got to be rooting for everybody. I mean, we're all here to just watch some great drivers put on a spectacular show. I want to look, by the way, at the guys right now fighting for kind of the 4th, 5th, and 6th position. Schofield is 4th, Belton 5th, and Cody Cosgrove in the 6th spot. Matt Kingsbury now jumps up there as well. Kevin, so 4th through 8 right now, separated by 5/100ths of a second.
The most impressive time to me out there is honestly Brandon Lambert.
Lambo.
He's leading that train of Spark car, so he doesn't have the tow. You have to think he could maybe even jump Challoner if he managed to get some of that tow from one of his teammates, maybe. And Brandon's not been on the podium in quite a while.
And
So
Steve
I think
Lane jumps up to P2.
Steve Lane.
Steve Lane,
Wow.
1/100th of a second faster than Christian Challoner. Brandon Lambert now, Kevin Fanning goes 4th quick. So it's now Janey, Lane, Challoner, Fanning, then Brandon Lambert 5th. But yes, right now Schofield is 1.07 seconds back. Schofield turning a 1:31.258. And then you jump back to a 2:84, 2:92, 2:93. So right now, Cody Cosgrove has a 1/1000th of a second advantage over Matt Kingsbury.
Well, P2 through P12 are half a second apart. That is just insane.
Yeah, I think that's
cars within half a second in a sports car league.
I think the biggest benefit to going to single class in terms of what we were running before, we had the GT3s and GTEs. Now we are all one class. It definitely tightens up the field because we can still have the Pro and Am categories as you see there in your timing and scoring. The blue notates the Am or the Pro drivers, and the red is the Am class. So definitely something to keep an eye on as we have both championships running. Janey and Challoner, though, 2 of the top 3, I think gonna have to see how this plays out for the last 5 minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, you do see the pros more towards the top. Besides Lehebier, he's a little bit further down, but maybe he hasn't got a clean lap yet. We do have a clerical error. Matt Kingsbury is a pro driver. He's being scored on our timing and scoring as a AM driver, but he is a pro driver. You see, almost all of them are in the top half of the field. But I am really, really pleased to see Steve Lane put down P2 on the board. Even if that is a draft lap, that is an immense lap for the live wire sim sports, man. So that could be a front row lockout for them in DDR.
Yeah, and Michael Janey, you see him there sitting in the pits for the moment. He just went faster on his last lap with a 1:30.184, extending the gap back to both Lane and Challoner. About half the field right now working their way down pit road, just kind of taking some fresh tires and getting back out there. There you see the entire Spark team now sitting in pit road. Meanwhile, Harley Moss working his way out of pit road. He's running a special decal on his car in tribute of his grandfather passed away. I believe he said on this date or close to this date a couple of years ago. So running in honor of him tonight. It's going to be fun to watch that 24 machine. I know he streams as well as he over on his own Twitch channel. So good to see Harley out there. We've seen drivers race with memorable decals on their cars throughout the seasons here. Including last week or last season racing for Jack Belton, who is back out there this season. Good to see him out on track once again.
Yeah, Jack was out there in the IndyCar last night, too, or championship cars last night. It was great to see him out there. So Chad, next week we go to Circuit of the Americas for this series, track that had some really good racing the first time we went there, and then Indy GP. That'll really be the first week where we kind of overlap with the championship series. Of course, we are in Texas for the championship series next, but that's the Texas Oval. Do you think we're going to see a lot of double dipping from drivers?
You know what? I feel like the guys that already have double dipped in the 2 series are going to keep doing it. Especially, there's not a lot of crossover, I guess, between, Texas and Circuit of the Americas. But yeah, I mean, for Indianapolis, you could probably see something there. We've ran there once before here in this series. That was all the way back, though, in season number 1. So, it's going to be one of those things. I think that, there's not a lot of translation because of how downforce heavy those championship cars are. Meanwhile, these cars, much more finesse can be put into them, I feel like. It's a very different driving style, and I suck at both of them.
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like I'm okay in the GTs. I was much better in the GTEs. I think they suited my driving style better. I do like endurance racing, but and GT racing, but I also like cars that have aero. I drove the LMP2 for the 24-hour Le Mans this year, and that was a lot of fun. I never really liked the LMP2. I really was a GTE guy. Everybody probably remembers I drove the Corvette for 2 or 3 seasons and really liked it. And I really liked the McLaren and the GT3 and the GT3s in general. Just I don't know. I didn't really get the grips with the lack of aero. I thought the racing was great. I just wasn't fast. Here I am.
The that was a fun one. This year's Daytona or the Le Mans 24. That was certainly a party. To go along with that, the Daytona 24 this year. Where I think were we in the P2 for that one as well?
Yeah, we ran the LMP2 for both the 24 hours. For Daytona 24, we were in the top split. We had a relatively clean race, but we banged the car up a little. We never really sat on pit road for an extended period of time, but we were racing against all the pros, so we finished 13 laps down in class or something crazy, but we beat half the class as well, so there was that.
I'll
And
just
then the Le
remember
Mans race went a lot better.
I slept about 3 hours the entirety of that Daytona race, just kind of keeping chat alive and keeping things going as we were raising money for Parkinson's in that one for the Michael J. Fox Foundation. So definitely fun to see the community here in iRacing kind of band together, whether it's for drivers like Jack Belton, where we had a bunch of drivers rocking the purple ribbons last season, or when we do those charity streams. So always fun here in iRacing. Under a minute, by the way, back in qualifying. To get things back on topic just a little bit, this is a look at the 33 of Twan Vandenbeld, one of the drivers for, I believe, Sequential Sim Sport. I don't have my cheat sheet in front of me.
The
Maybe.
33, I believe it is Twan.
Well, I know it's Twan. I'm just trying to figure out which team he races for.
Oh, Sequential Sim Sport.
That is Sequential. Okay, yeah, because I know him. Here's his teammate a little bit in front of him, Harley Moss. And then you see
Cody's
some of the...
out there somewhere, right?
Cody, I mean, he's here.
11.
He's around here somewhere.
Cody did not have a good race last night. I hope this one goes a little better for him.
I think if I remember, his race was over before getting into turn 2 on the pace lap. So, yeah, drivers now starting to take the checkered flag here through qualifying. Going to have to see when they come across line, if they can improve on their lap. Christian Chandler, by the way, only 5/100ths of a second off as you see Jack Belton spinning through the gravel trap back behind. But here's Christian Chandler. Can he improve on his fastest lap? No, he dives back down to pit road. One last attempt at pit stop practice, as now this season we do have a mandatory pit stop here in this series.
That is a tight margin.
Yeah,
we have 3 of the Livewire Sim Sports cars within the top 5. That's great for them.
Yeah, these guys just having a blast out there. This is one of the few cars left on track. That is the 42 Mr. Big Dog himself, trying to set a fastest lap. He's currently just outside the top 10. He is just behind Matt Kingsbury, your brother, by 7/100ths of a second. So can he improve here through the final couple of corners? Hopefully he didn't run too wide there and get an off track. Does he improve?
I don't know, but every time you say Big Dog, I really, really, really am just waiting for Who Let the Dogs Out to start playing.
Well, I mean, it's not me. I'll say that much. I would never do that. But anyway, that just about wraps up qualifying here as we get set for the race. It's a 1-hour race with a mandatory pit stop. I mean, it's a different format. Once again, we just keep switching things up here in the Penguin RC Sports Car Challenge. We started out with the 8-car inversion. We had a 15-minute sprint and a 45-minute feature. Now we're doing a 1-hour race with a mandatory pit stop. It's going to be fun to watch. Let's do a quick rundown of the field here with Michael Janey on pole, with Christian Chandler to the outside of row number 1. Then Steve Lane and Cody Cosgrove. And then Kevin Fanning and David Schofield, Brandon Lambert with, is that Scott Corbin on his outside starting in 8th. Then Jack Belton and Matt Kingsbury wrapping up the top 10.
Got Kieran Big Dog Forrest in P11, partnered on the 6th row with Cody Erdman and Ben Moynier. We've got Seth Rawls, Harley Moss, Tim Brokaw, Jules Emilani,
Julian
Emilani, Twan Vanderbilt, and then the one and only Justin Robichaud, who's sitting in our chat. Guess he's not in the car yet. Followed by Penguin RC's own Ryan Sohn. I can't tell if there's anyone else behind them.
There are 4 cars back behind as well. Vincent Laherbier and Jonathan Diggs on row number 11. Then Esfalk Dennis and Jeffrey Wallace wrapping up the field. So 24 cars here for round number 2 from the Red Bull Ring. Just waiting on a couple of cars to fill out the grid. There you see Michael Janey taking his spot on pole position. Only car left to grid is Matt Kingsbury. Come on, Matt, we're waiting for you.
We've got Philip Kraus, the one and only, in the chat. People probably remember Phil ran a few races with us in the second season of GT Americas in the pro class when it was GTE, and swiftly dominated in the Ford GT, but did not take the championship because he only raced about 4 races.
But those 4 races that he ran, he performed very, very well. It's going to be interesting to watch this pace lap here, by the way, because we saw some action happen before we even took the green last time. Going to have to see. Hopefully we can keep things clean here at the Red Bull Ring.
Absolutely, Chad. And speaking of Philip Kraus, I am still a little salty that he beat me in one of my last races at the Corvette, the Barber. I really thought I had a chance at that one. Anyways.
Pace car pulls away down the front straightaway as we get set through the final corner. 1 hour of green flag racing here at the Red Bull Ring. Drivers, of course, forced to make one pit stop that we talked about. The green flag is out, and it's Challoner and Janey getting a good jump on rows behind him. It's going to be, I think it's going to be Cosgrove getting a little bit of tire smoke there. Cosgrove up the inside.
4 wide back in the pack.
Wow, some interesting moves. Some cars running very wide there through turn number 1.
Really liking the look of that 111 of Tim Brokaw and the 54 of Kevin Fanning, those Matco Tool cars. Those things look quite nice. A little new livery for them this week.
Very race. They're almost 4 wide, a little further back in the field. Wow, some moves these guys are making for only lap number 1.
And we're still side by side up in the front third of the pack. Even going back further, it's 3 wide still. You can see Brian Sohn is looking to the inside back there.
And that 33 of Twan Vanderbilt, he started pretty far back. I think he started 18th, and he's already up to 14th.
Oh, he's in the grass.
And he's cutting the course a little bit there. Yeah, he started 18th up to 14th. Now he's trying to hold the inside line as the 46 of Brandon Lambert started 7th all the way back to 15th already.
Yo, what happened to Lambert? I believe I saw him drop a wheel, so that must have had something to do with it. He's definitely down on speed on that straightaway. But you know, it's an hour-long race, and his tires are still all pointed in the same direction. I think he'll be able to recover. Steve Lane is still sitting in P5. If there's any question of whether or not, that was a fluke lap from him in qualifying, he's only lost a couple positions.
No, he was up there. He was up there in the timing charts in practice. They come out of the final corner. Most of the cars now single file. There's one car that's pretty slow there. I'm not sure who that was on the inside, but here's here's look up front. It is still Janey in front of Challoner, and they're about half a second apart. And then they've got another full second back. You see the gap there to Cody Cosgrove running 3rd. I think Challoner, last time he led as long as he could and then let Janey get around. So we're going to have to see what happens here as we still have 57 minutes to go, 58 or so minutes to go, actually. That's going to be a lot of laps that's going to be logged here.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the characteristics of the 2 different cars at this track. I know we saw the Porsche had better tire wear, and Christian openly admitted that. I thought this track might play a little bit better than McLaren's hand, a little wider corners. Barcelona's got a bunch of sweeping corners as well, but also some very tight ones. I guess we'll see how it unfolds. Does look like the Porsches are towards the front, though.
Yeah, we got a couple interesting battles just outside the top 10 as well. This is Kieran Big Dog for us trying to get around Vandenbeld as well. Just up in front of them, it looks like Harley Moss has lost the gap up in front. Gonna have to see what he can do. Yeah, here's Harley Moss. He's lost the car in front, but he's under some pressure from behind. That's Cody Erdman back behind him.
He's got 2 teammates behind him. Hopefully the pressure is not too much.
So the biggest thing that I've learned is don't hit your teammates, and that's happened to me twice in the first 2 races of the Rallycross season. So,
Oh boy.
oof. Yeah,
You hit me last week too.
Did I?
This week. Absolutely. I think it was you.
I don't
Drove
think
into some pink, black, and yellow and
in
not
teal.
the screen car.
I don't think it was me. I was never around you or anybody.
I think I was lapping you.
I think you drove into me.
I don't know. I was lapping someone.
No, that was I parked it on the outside of one of the corners and let everybody go by because I remember you guys were racing first.
Place for you.
I'm just like, get out of everybody's way. I'm not meant to be here. Let's just have fun with it. No, but it's always fun in all of the series here, whether I'm up here in the booth or on the track.
We've got some interaction in Twitch, and then we got Gecko saying, "Big field out there." Yeah, it is. It is Gecko. It's nice to see you again too. Josiah's in the chat saying hi to you, Chad. Josiah, I thought you were supposed to be on the track, man.
Yeah, Josiah, what are you doing? Also missing.
Forgot last week too.
Yeah, also missing some guys from Team Watson Racing. I don't see Victor Aldrich out there. Who else did they have? Let's see if I can't try to remember that. Curtis Critchley was supposed to be here as well. He made he has a beautiful livery that he was supposed to debut tonight, but I guess I don't see him out there on track, unfortunately.
We've got a move back by Jack Belton. Looks like Matt Kingsbury looking to his inside. Yep, and he got by him.
Yeah, Matt Kingsbury gets by to move up to the 6th spot. So that's now Kingsbury, Belton, and then Kevin Fanning back behind as well.
We do have a few others in Twitch land. We've got fan of Kinetic Racing, Mr. Furious. We've got Marwin over there. It's telling everybody that if I was racing, I'd be winning. And he also says he really likes the schedule.
Marwan, I'm missing Marwan over in Rallycross. That's the man that kind of got me into it. He taught me Sonoma, and you know what? I have to give you props, Marwan. Great to see you in chat, and going to be interesting to watch the rest of the season here. If you ever want a seat, you can always take mine.
Well, I'm not missing Marwan because the running joke is that we never made a final together. So if he's not racing, that means I make every final.
How's that working out for you?
So far, so good. I made both of them.
2 for 2. That's a pretty low bar. My goal is usually not to finish last, and I don't think I've done that yet. So, not too bad for me. Oh, there's a car around. That's a 24 of Harley Moss, and he's going to collect.
He collects Big Dog.
Oh, Kieran. Oh, no.
Oh, the dog is angry. It's barking.
Here's a look at the replay. Was there contact here possibly from his teammate? Let's take another look at it. Yeah, very late on the brakes. Possibly contact there from the 33. That was Twan Vandenbeld. And then he collects
he was
Big
just
Dog.
really early on the brakes. I'm not sure what happened. It looks like everybody's still got 4 wheels on them, so hopefully nothing too bad for anybody, especially the Big Dog. You know he can really bark when he gets angry.
Yep, that's back to live here with Harley Moss. Let's switch over to the 42 of Kieran Forrest. He is limping around slowly. He must have some serious damage to that car.
It's no bueno for the Big Dog.
I mean, the back end looks fine. Let's check the nose here, if I can find the right button for that.
Our drone is doing a great job.
Oh, yeah, that left front is definitely crunched in a little bit. So, unfortunate to see for Big Dog. Hopefully he gets some of that tuned out. And we'll beat on it with a hammer a little bit for you, Big Dog, and we'll definitely have some fun here in the booth for you the rest of the way. Looks like Ben Munier has had some issues as well. You see him there in the pits. He must have had an issue out on track as well.
We do have a little bit of a battle on track around P14 with Brian Sohn. There's 3 cars in a couple of tenths of each other.
Let's see if we can't find Brian out there. There he is as he jumps back in line. Challenger, by the way, up front, about 3/4 of a second behind Michael Janey. as that lead for Janey starts to grow. It might just come down to the pit strategy. I don't think either guy is going to be able to take advantage of tires on the pit stop. These races are not, I don't think, long enough to make tire wear come into play. But those front two are 6 seconds in front of Cody Cosgrove, who's in third.
I'm really interested to see what this little group here is going to have for a battle for us. There's a bunch of different manufacturers in this group, and just watching the cars go around this track, they all have a little different characteristics. The Ferrari seems very planted in the nose. The Audi seems to really want to throw its weight around off the exits of the curbs, a little twitchy. And the Porsche just kind of is hanging its tail out. But, you know, it's cool doing that.
Yep, all in line. This is Vanderbilt, Brokaw, Sohn, Emilani, and Herbier from 11th back, or sorry, from 12th back down to the 16th position, all in line right there. Actually, we'll take a look further up just a little bit. This is the 77 of Scott Corbin, a newcomer to the series here for Kinetic Racing. He is trying to hold on to the 9th spot. Got Seth Rawls all over that back bumper. Going to have to see if Seth can't make a move here pretty soon. And just in front of them, Fanning trying to get around Belton.
Well, Scott's doing a pretty good job. He's in the top 10 there. And you know, Seth is certainly no slouch. That Porsche he is driving this season does look quite nice. I really like the neon yellow. He did forget to put a number on the number plate again. I'm going to have a chat with him.
Numbers are for squares. Come on now. You know that.
I mean, unless they're glow in the dark, I don't know what his plan is.
I mean, he's just getting ready for the night race to wrap up the
that
season.
That car basically does glow in the dark for you.
He does a great job with all of his liveries as well as all the production work that he puts in on his end. So great to see such bright cars all throughout this field. My favorite still is, I know it's technically a football paint job there for Jack Belton, but it's always going to be the lemon lime Sprite machine to me.
Absolutely. He corrected me the other day. I said it was Norwich City because that's how it's spelled.
It's Norwich.
Apparently it's Norwich.
Yeah, Norwich. Yeah, there's no W. I got the perfect Mapmen video for you about how to pronounce cities in England because they don't make any sense.
Yeah, they just kind of scream when they say it and they forget certain letters between there.
I mean, they also put U's in random words for no reason. So, you know, your favorite color is orange, probably.
That's French.
No, French is omelette du fromage.
Speaking of French, we do have a bunch of French Canadians in this series. How are they doing?
Yes.
Yes. Vincent Leherbier is half a second off of fellow Frenchman, French Canadian, Giuliani Emilani.
It's Julian, not Giuliani. Come on, man.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess that up so many times.
Well, last week it was Jules.
Sounds better.
Last week it was Jules, and he said that it sounded too French, so he went back to Julian. So Julian now 15th, and there you see him right in front of Leherbier. So those guys both racing further back in the field. Leherbier, the currently, I believe, the last ranked pro driver in the field. Meanwhile, Cody Cosgrove, the 67, way up at the front here. He is the highest ranked AM driver, but he is 10 seconds off your front two right now.
Absolutely. Janey and Challoner are just setting a crazy pace, and only half a second. We haven't really seen a move yet, but you know, is it a matter of time? I like this battle between P3 to P5, and I even think P6 Matt Kingsbury. I think that's going to start heating up.
Yeah, this is a look at David Schofield currently running P4, but the closest group here, this is what we were talking about. This is Steve Lane, the 66, the no-number car, another one of those out there on track, as well as the shark teeth of Matt Kingsbury. Matt, you know, he talked about how he wears the teeth to be very aggressive. I realized in pre-race that shark is smiling quite a bit. Maybe it looks a little bit too happy to be out there on track.
Yeah, personally, when I look at that car, all I can think of is Baby Shark. So, I mean, Now Chad's singing that in his head.
No,
We'll
I'm
just
not. What are
pray
you?
that- we'll
No,
just pray
not at
you don't
all.
start singing it on the broadcast.
Who let the dogs out? Who? Who? Oh, he's still in pit road.
Oh man, Big Dog's still there.
And one of the cars making their first pit stop of the race. I believe that's Cody Erdman. It is right there in the 52. Have to see if this isn't a scheduled stop. Maybe working this race backwards, because you can probably go to the end on fuel from here.
Yeah, I think you can. It's about what we got 75% fuel tank in there. We're about 3/4 of the way through the race, so I think you're good. I don't think you're gonna see any strategy unless there's someone really holding you up. It's just faster to go as far as you can on the starting fuel because your car is lighter for longer. If that makes sense. Like otherwise, you're adding fuel early and your aggregate weight over the course of the race is heavier. Believe it or not, I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense to me, but for everybody at home, more gas equals bad, and that's all you need to know. Man, these guys just flying out here. This is that battle that we were talking about from 7th back to 10th. This is Fanning, Kingsbury, Corbin, and Rawls. And there's, oh, wow, side by side there between the kinetic machine of
Well, something
Corbin.
happened because Matt was up in 6th place,
Yeah, he.
right behind Steve Lane.
Oh, and there you see Corbin running wide. He's gonna lose he's gonna lose a spot there, and jump back in line. Yeah, something happened to Kingsbury. I'm gonna guess, just knowing him as a driver, he probably just ran wide at some point.
As you said, something happened to Matt Kingsbury. I just watched a monkey crying come across the screen, Chad.
What?
I don't know. Do we have some sort of Oh, okay. So when people put emojis in the chat, they appear on our screen.
Oh, you didn't realize that? Okay.
Oh, I did not. I was confused why there was a crying emoji.
I was like, man, is Ray on drugs? Like, I'm not sure what he's talking about. No, yeah, that's one of the good things about the Twitch chat and the interaction that we have here, guys. If you donate bits or something like that, you can, get your announcement up, popping up on screen and have some fun with it. And only Ray can see it. I just kind of tune it out at this point.
You just caught me off guard. That's all. I wasn't really sure what that was.
Hey, it's automatic. I don't push buttons to do it. This is the battle for the lead, by the way. Looking back up front, that's Janey in front of Challenger, back to 3/4 of a second, but it's pretty much leveled out, just over half a second between the two of them.
Yeah, there's not a ton of close battles. We do see, Elton, Fanning, Kingsbury, and Rawls, that battle all within about a second. And then Crossgrove, Schofield, and Lane, there's a group of about 3 or 4 of them within a couple seconds of each other there. I think that's a lap car. I think that's Erdman.
The fourth one in line is, Cody Erdman, but up in front of them, this is...
Oh, and there's a move.
Diving up the inside. Very interesting entry there, but not going to be able to get the launch off the corner from Steve Lane. He's going to lose a ton of ground. And I believe, is that his former teammate back behind him as well? No, I'm getting my old teams mixed up. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, you absolutely are. His current teammate's up ahead of him. That's Cody Crossgrove. David Schofield in that Ferrari, I'd like to see him get by and move on to that podium and see if he can maybe make up some ground. That Ferrari's fast, but it is a little aero limited in the front. If he's not able to get the air on the car, he doesn't really get too much bite. But I think if he can get the clean air, he can kind of walk away down the straightaways.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
The gearing on that car is really great.
That's one of the things here in iRacing is I never really thought about before joining the services. Turning laps in practice on your own versus in qualifying in race, where everybody takes the nose off the front of your car, definitely changes the handling, the top. It changes everything about the race car. I don't think about those kind of things when I'm playing, NASCAR Heat 2007 or whatever.
Yeah, you won't notice it as much in the GT cars, the GT3s, as you might have in the Indy cars last night, the championship series. As I say that, I don't know who that was, but somebody is off. I think it was Brian Sohn, and I don't know who else that was. There was another car that spun a white Ferrari, it looked like.
Let's see. Take a look at the replay here. This is Sohn. And he just, loose on...
Oh, it was Tim Brokaw right ahead
of him. Of Brokaw. Yeah, both of them lost. I don't know if Sohn's was in reaction to it or if he was already losing it. Maybe there's fluid on the track. Maybe this is just like the race
wet track.
Maybe this is just like last week's race at Indianapolis, where out of nowhere everybody spun because of fluid on the track or the curbs coming
Yeah,
up.
we'll have to ask one of the drivers. Maybe they'll say the track is wet.
This battle, this is still going on. This is, I believe that's Belton on back through Rawls. All these guys just flying and having fun. And we're not even a third of the way through this race, Ray. Wow.
They got to start beating some doors in, Chad. I'm not entertained enough quite yet.
Yeah, these things have fenders. Let's start using them, boys.
Come on, Matt. Go get them.
I mean, that's what he's known for, the only driver to get a rest of the season ban from this series. So he's got the reputation, and he thought about making the move there on Jack Belton, and he's still thinking about it. He is there alongside Jack, running a little wide on exit, but he's going to get the launch off the corner. Matt's sitting in the slipstream, waiting. He peeks out here, and under braking, he's going to fly by, but there's no way he keeps that on track. Wow. Only gets 2 tires over the curb, so he's going to get that spot. A great move there by Matt Kingsbury.
I could be wrong, Chad, but you're not really supposed to hit that yellow curb. That sends you up into the air just a little bit.
You know what? That's a problem for your brother to figure out, as we see Jack Belton trying to make a move around the outside. Oh, and Matt forces him wide. Oh, there was some door-to-door contact there.
There we go,
don't
boys.
think there was much. I don't think there was much malice to it, but Matt Kingsbury holds on to that 6th spot for now. Jack Belton trying to get it back, and I think sportsman-wise, I think Matt's just going to give it to him. He does.
My job.
Oh, wait a minute. Nope, Matt comes back on the inside as Belton runs wide. Back and forth they go once again.
And you know what this is doing, Chad? This is packing everybody up behind him. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Also, shout out to Kieran, Big Dog Forest in the chat. He said, was my door getting bent in not enough?
I mean, it was not spectacular enough. Nobody went upside down, Kieran, Mr. Big Dog. We'll have to work on that.
All right, I'm curious if anybody can keep up with Matt. We know that he was further up the field. Now he's kind of like punching back through. Anybody hold on and catch and follow him all the way up to the crew of guys in front of him?
I mean, the biggest thing, if you are Matt Kingsbury, is not making a mistake. I'm going to assume that that's what happened to send him back to that group of cars anyway, because he's shown pace. We've seen him time and time again just be able to put up some really solid performances. And trying to break the draft, but right back in it now is Jack Belton. Is he going to make a move going into turn 3?
Ferrari power, let's see it. The Porsche's brakes are just insane.
I remember you talking about that season. I think it was back in season 1.
It was last season, I think.
Well, when it was you versus Team Renovo coming down to last week, and it was everything from the straight line speed to the cornering and how much speed you can carry through the corner in the Corvette. As they're trying to make the move once again. Wow. I mean, these guys just
we
back
saw that
and
in
forth.
Indy, I think it was. Indy was Savian and I were battling for the lead. He was in the Ferrari with pretty minimal downforce, and I was in the Corvette with quite a lot of downforce, 2 different philosophies. And we were matching each other for lap times, but I just couldn't do anything in the straightaways.
And then somebody ran out of fuel.
And then in the turns I was fine. I actually made a pass in the last corner for the lead, and we were drag racing to the line, and out of fuel I went.
Well,
that was a fun race.
That was a ton of fun here in the booth as well. We've seen some great finishes over the years here in the series. I remember, I think it was it was 2 seasons ago back at Barber, where we saw our good friend Phil Kraus get absolutely destroyed by a lapped car back when we were running multi-class. So, we've seen some.
Did he? I don't remember that. I thought he won that race.
I thought that he was the one that got destroyed trying to make the move going 3 wide on the outside of a lapped car and the other leader.
I don't remember. I just think maybe it was like Road Atlanta or something, because I distinctly remember at Barber he and I were having quite a good battle for the entirety of the race.
As I said, we've had some great races throughout the years. This is shaping up to be one of them for your top 2 as well. Christian Challoner once again right there behind Michael Janey. So he's keeping within the slipstream of him at least. I think these guys are both just going to run it out of fuel and see how it goes. Biggest thing, Janey has led every single lap. He has to be burning more fuel.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't really matter too much in these cars, in my opinion. It's all about that refuel time. Um, and if the Porsche holds more fuel, it might need to take longer to refuel. I don't really know how exactly the fuel numbers are in these cars, but there's a bunch of different things: fuel capacity, fuel refill time, and fuel burn. So, uh, they could be pretty close in the pits. They could be a little off just to add a tiny bit of fuel. I don't really know. What I do what I do know is that this is such a close battle that it's anybody's game. I guess if Challoner's saving enough fuel, maybe when he pits, he could save like a second with the refuel. Maybe that'll be the difference.
Well, and what we saw last week was Janey just absolutely murdering Christian in terms of time spent both on pit entry and when they were in their box. Just, I mean, the pit entry is so key in these races where these guys are so close on actual race pace. We're gonna have to see where they shape out as the race goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 20 seconds to the next car. That's crazy. Somebody come in here and make it. Let's get another driver in here to fight with Challoner and Janey. Somebody come make this a little more interesting for us. Give us another dog to root for.
I thought that we might have had it when Steve Lane somehow took P2 for a while in qualifying, but unfortunately that's fallen by the wayside as he has dropped all the way back to the 5th spot.
I mean, you act like all the way back to fifth is horrible.
Well,
I would have been quite pleased in this field to be fifth place. This is a good field.
while that's true, it's only 5th place. It's also 22 seconds off the leaders.
Hmm.
So that's more so of what I meant there. But anyway, yeah, it's Janey, Challoner, Cosgrove, Schofield, and Lane, your top 5. And then you got Matt Kingsbury. He has opened up a solid lead on the cars behind. That's Seth Rawls now in the 7th spot. And he's got less than a second back to Kevin Fanning. As there you see Fanning with a line of cars behind him as well.
Yeah, all these guys are heading down into the Nicky Lauda curve, and it is an interesting corner. You climb up that hill, and then on the exit, it's almost like a I don't know, 100-degree right-hand corner, Chad, roughly. And then on the exit of it, there's that big old curb, and if you hit it too harshly, it's going to make you bobble. Oh, and we have Cody around in front of this whole group of cars.
I'm surprised to see that.
And Trevor Teal just put in the chat a bunch of salt canisters, and they just appeared all over my screen.
I think that he was driving backwards on the track now, so he's got to be salty about that one. Dude tries to do a flick spin, but with the traction control, with traction control, it's not going to do much for him. So unfortunate to see Cody going around there, but he's going to recollect, and not the best race for Cody Irvine. Already one lap down, currently in the 20th position. Here's Jack Belton once again just holding on to the top 10, trying to finish up there and keep his momentum going into the next round. And Ray, we go to Circuit of the Americas next week, as you mentioned. What are your thoughts on that track for these cars? We've raced there once in the series before.
Yeah, I didn't run it in the GT3 class. I did run it in the Corvette. I will tell you the cars that generally have a little bit more downforce do well there, but there is quite a long straightaway, so it'll be interesting. I feel like the Ferraris aren't going to like that really fast left, right chicane that they have going on there. So I think the Porsches, the mid-engine, might have quite an advantage there. Don't imagine the McLaren will really like that curb either, so it'll be interesting. I think I think Janey might have another one where he might have a little bit of an advantage over Christian just with the car choice.
Yeah, we're just about coming up on halfway into this race, and that's one thing that we've seen from Christian year in and year out, is he tries different cars. 3 seasons, 3 cars for him, and he does it for reasons that have included trying to figure out why everybody likes a certain car, or trying to prove that an unpopular car is prove an unpopular car can perform. And that's what he's doing here in the McLaren this season. And he's yeah, I mean, he's running second, and he's not too far off your leader. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out for him the rest of the season.
Yeah, Christian definitely takes that approach to what car he's going to run. And oh, as I say that, Seth Rawls is around and he collects. I don't know who that was. Was that Scott Corbin, maybe?
I believe it was now because the 77. Yeah, we'll see if we can't take a look at the replay here. And here you see it. This is looking at Corbin. And I think Rawls is that car right in front of him. Yeah, so Rawls lost it.
I was watching the Porsches really slide out on there. I was saying they looked very lively but comfortable.
It
It does
didn't.
not look very comfortable.
Yeah, the nose of that 77 now is a little bit bent in, but it didn't look like it
Splitter's
was
punched
too.
up.
It wasn't too hard of contact. So that's the benefit for him, but I don't know how much that's going to impact how the car is handling.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna just have to find out. Did Rawls make it down the pit lane, or did he regain his? Or did he get his car fired back up in the right direction?
Yeah, he is pointed back in the right direction. He's back on track. He is also right behind here. Yeah, so there you see those two guys that were involved in that spin. I think Seth, just with where that contact was on his car compared to Corbin, I think that he's going to be, the one better off the rest of the way. I just don't know how much handling issues there's going to be. Actually, let's jump on here for a cockpit view with Seth. The steering is pretty centered, so even with that direct side impact, didn't seem to throw the car's handling off too much. Oh, and there you see back end stepping out once again in the same exact spot.
Yeah, that back end of that car just looks really lively in general. I don't know if that's just tire wear or what. I know some people were thinking about changing tires last week at Barcelona. Jack Belton was, I think, the only taker, and he regretted it. But they were telling me after the race they were down to like 30% tread. So I've never raced this track before. If it is as sort of, I don't know, abrasive as Barcelona was, I could see exactly where he's having trouble.
By the way, here's a battle on track. This is Schofield and Lane.
Oh, David must have had some trouble because he was up ahead of him by quite a ways, I thought. Oh, no, maybe not.
I think that, yeah, for the most part, Steve Lane just working his way up through the field, and unfortunate to see David, drop back another spot. But right now it's Janey up, and then what is it, 1-3-4 for that team?
Yeah, and do they have a fourth driver? I don't think they do.
I don't believe they do, but I mean, regardless, only the top two for the team score, so they're in very good position to take some serious points here from the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, and the other team that was doing quite well was their Esport, and Matt's in 6th, which is good, but their only other driver here is Robichaux, and he's down in 16th, so a lap down. So I don't know, maybe he's done his pit stop, but that's definitely not the most amazing points night. And then Spark has got Schofield in 5th and Lambert in Belton in 8th. So they're having an okay night. But with Janey out in front, really you need 2 good finishes to counteract that.
Yeah, and these guys very, very close back on track once again for Janey and Challoner. As I believe it was Robichaux that has already pitted, so I'm gonna have to see. Let's double check that. No, Robichaux is not yet pitted. The highest running driver right now that has pitted is Scott Corbin. He's back in 13th. Otherwise, everybody back behind. Jeffrey Wallace here is now working his way down pit road as well. And then just about everybody, with the exception of Robichaux, everybody from 13th on back has worked their way down pit road at some point during this race. So a lot of guys going to start working their way down pit road, I think one at a time here. But we still have about half this race left. As you see Challoner making the dive for lead, peeks his nose out no as they go up the hill through turn number 3 and now continues up the hill down the backstretch.
Man, this is just getting closer and more exciting. You saw Christian interesting to see if maybe Christian can grab the lead here. He's right on his bumper into the braking zone. I don't know if maybe the McLaren's having just a little better tire wear here, because it looks like Janey's back end actually started to wash out a little on the entry to that corner to the apex.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you got to pay attention to, is tire wear. And something else to note as well for Challoner, maybe he's thinking, I'm okay with staying in line, maybe trying to save that extra lap of fuel, because I've known Christian from watching him run the majors, the U.S. Major Series, with all the 2.4-hour races that they do. He's the master of saving fuel, and he knows exactly when to pit and how much fuel to put in the car. So, yeah, Christian Challoner right now trying to do everything he can to save and try to get the extra lap out of it, as we tick now under 27 minutes left in this race.
Well, at least there would be one McLaren car and driver that makes a good decision on their fuel strategies for the week. After Blake made quite a disastrous one last night in the championship series with McLaren on the side of his car.
I'll say I love all the fun that happens over in the championship series with manufacturers. We saw well, in all the series here, I guess, we have a Lamborghini Beetle. We have a diesel IR18. We've got a McLaren IR18. I mean, what else do we have out there? What are you racing? Eagles? Yep, we got some Eagles out there for
why
Spark.
Not? That's why I like an Eagle, baby.
I'm sure I heard you singing that at some point during that race, didn't we?
I forgot. I should have said it in the comm booth after, on the podium.
But either way,
We got Chevys, we got Hondas.
Yeah, I mean, those are the normal ones. That's boring. We need fun stuff. I should have run a Robin IR18 if I ran in that series.
I feel like there was supposed to be some other interesting ones out there. Maybe I just didn't spot them.
Well, I was going to run the Lambo, but I withdrew my entry after my terrifying wreck at Bathurst. So we're up here in the booth for both series, and we're having a fun time with it.
Yeah, that was definitely a career-ending wreck.
Well,
confidence shattering.
I mean, it wasn't career-ending. You know, I could still get out there and race, but after I destroyed every single Team Spark car, every single CubeCast Racing and Team Watson Racing cars, I decided, you know what? I've destroyed enough race cars. I'm just going to park it up here in the booth and have fun with it as we sit on we take our seat on the Christian Challoner couch, as he's appeared enough times in here to have his own love seat up here in the booth.
All right, Chad. So we got 24 minutes left, which is, just under halfway. These guys are catching some lap traffic. Hypothetical. You stay out, maximize that fuel. You dive down and hope you avoid the lap traffic.
Just looking at timing and scoring and where everybody kind of strings out behind him, I'm not sure the pit delta here, but I think that you kind of just want to continue staying out, because if you're spending, say 30 seconds on pit road, you're going to, jump right behind that battle that we were looking at between Cosgrove and Lane, as we'll actually take a look at it here. There you see it. Cosgrove, they're the front car in that train, and Steve Lane in the 66 with that lap car in between them. That's Brian Sohn.
Now, if you're Michael Janey and you do that, that might go well for you, considering those are two of your teammates.
Very true. And we saw that kind of come into play last week, where they kind of just let Janey go by. And I don't say they let Challoner go by, but they didn't make it easy at the same time.
That's a very good point. Trying to keep a straight face as Steele's making things pop up on my screen. Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, if I'm Christian Challoner, I got to start doing something different. I am thinking, okay, maybe this is my shot to mix it up. Maybe I'll wait right until we're about to hit that lap traffic, and I'm going to be in. And maybe that one lap of clean track might not really cost them anything, and it might cost Janey, 2 to 3 seconds having to get around 3 or 4 lap cars. You never know.
Yeah, I think also, though, I mean, Challoner, we've seen him think about making the move a time or two. So I think that he definitely has the pace. We've seen him stick with Michael Janey the entire way so far. But we've seen a couple of drivers. Kevin Fanning has come into pit. So he is the highest driver now. He's currently running in the 10th spot. He's got some work to do to make some time up. But, yeah, I mean, it seems that more and more drivers now working their way down pit road.
Indeed. I think it's just a matter of when, Challoner. I mean, I would want to be down there first, personally. If he runs a really good pit entry, he gains time on Janey as well. You can't run a faster pit entry than Janey if you're behind him going in. Oh, here's the lap traffic as there's a spun out Ferrari. I don't know if you saw that. There's a blue Ferrari spun around backwards in our picture. I don't think that's Corbin. That is an AM class car. I think it's Jonathan Diggs.
That might be Diggs. I thought that it's showing him in the 12th position car. Not entirely sure. It might be Diggs. Maybe I'm just an
Corbin.
idiot.
I see a red banner plate though. Interesting.
Let's double check that here. Yeah, that is Scott Corbin right behind him. So, yeah, that is a 77 of Scott Corbin running in the 12th spot.
Okay, unknown as to what class Corbin is in, but he's on the track.
I don't know what class anybody is in. I don't know what car anybody is in. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Ooh, a lot of wheel hopping from Janey there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to...
Oh, he's way off the track.
Well, Challoner, you saw him run wide as well. Challoner swinging the car very wide on exit.
Not quite as wide as Michael, though.
Yeah, he keeps his foot down, though. Both of them do as they go up the hill again and sending it into turn number 1.
Man, I want to see a move from Challoner. I just know that the McLaren, it doesn't really have any weaknesses, but it just doesn't really have any strengths against the Porsche. Like,
yeah.
It's not higher top end speed. It's not particularly better on brakes. And on the lower speed corners, the steering rack on it really prevents you from muscling it out of those corners fast. So its advantage is really the higher speed corners.
Yeah, trap speed there going into turn 3. Janey was 4 kilometers an hour slower than Challoner on corner entry. So definitely Janey doesn't have that straight line speed, but the corner, the mid corner, and how much I have to slow down, that definitely is in favor of Michael Janey.
Yeah, well, that top end speed could be a little bit misleading too, because Challoner is sitting in its draft.
Shut up with your logic. Get out of here.
I mean, hey, I'm just saying,
Under 20 minutes now. It's Janey and Challoner. They've got 35 seconds back to Cosgrove, but Cosgrove, he's got a little bit of a gap here. He is currently, let's see here. You see the gap there too, the car behind of Steve Lane. Those two cars both as well teammates, with your leader Michael Janey that we talked about. Currently running 1, 3, and 4. They've got about a second and a half there to the next car in line. That is David Schofield in the 5th spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. David fell off quite a bit. We were talking about the tire wear that we were seeing. Maybe that's got something to do with it. I do see though that Lane has been off the track quite a bit, so maybe he's starting to struggle a little bit with tires. I don't know.
Yeah, and this is another battle further back in the field. This is Justin Robichaux trying to hold on to the 15th spot from Asphalt Dennis. Both of these guys have just made their pit stops. Robichaux 1 lap ago, and this is the outlap for Dennis. So those guys battling for the 15th spot for Dirt Esport Racing. And I'm very torn because, you know what, for the longest time I thought it was supposed to be like a play on like Dirty Sport, as in they race dirty.
It is.
And knowing Matt, that's not going to be surprising to me.
No, that is what that.
Okay.
You got to talk to him. That's exactly what he explained to me.
You act like I want to talk to him, though. I mean, I can barely play Rocket League with the dude.
Good point. Nothing that was said there was inaccurate. All right, I mean.
But hey, he is somehow champ in doubles, so way to go, Matt. I'm going to say he got carried by his random teammates, but Currently running lap number 29 out of 40. That's approximately anyway, as we currently run under 17 and a half minutes to go. And possibly some connection issues for Christian Challoner.
We still got Challoner?
We do have Challoner. He did disconnect for just a second, but he jumps back in and didn't lose too much ground. That's a scary moment. We've seen that come to bite people, but big time over in Rallycross.
I'm just looking at, so this is just me thinking out loud, Chad. I was watching the delta on the time between Janey and Challoner, and Challoner can kind of keep it consistent and close a little in the straightaways when Michael's not drafting at anyone, but as soon as Michael drafted off that lapped car there, the gap to Challoner increased. I'm actually wondering if the Porsche does perform better than the McLaren on the straightaways if it wasn't for the slipstream that Challoner's been holding. Which makes me think that and just based on driving the McLaren last season, it's not a bad car. It's a fun car to drive, that's for sure. But I'm really struggling to see what its strengths are right now.
Yeah, it's a newer car too. The Circus, I remember it just came out, what, less than a year ago?
McLaren or the Porsche?
The McLaren, sorry.
Oh, the McLaren's been out for like 6 years.
Why did I think the McLaren just came out? Didn't they just come
I
out
think
with
they released a GT4.
Okay, that's what it must have been. I was gonna say I thought the McLaren just came out. Wasn't what was the car last season that was brand new and everybody rushed to it?
The Lamborghini maybe?
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. I'm getting McLaren, Lamborghini, all my European manufacturers mixed up because they all look and sound the same. That's no Ford GT car.
We do need a new Ford GT for the GT3 class.
Well,
maybe they'll homologate all the GTDs down or GTEs down eventually because
isn't that something that's being talked about for Ford is making a new Ford GT?
I think Ford was talking about making a GT3 entry. I don't know if that would be a Mustang. I don't know if that would be a Ford GT.
I think I saw Mustang attached to it, but we'll have to you'll have to ask your brother because he is currently somehow now in the third position. Actually, I know how. It's because Lane, Cosgrove, and Schofield all have come in to make their pit stops.
Very observant there, Chad. The one that interests me would be the Corvette. I would love to see that D8R converted to a GT3 spec car. A little more downforce on a GT3. I would drive the wheels off that thing. Hopefully not literally.
And here you see the race off pit road. Cosgrove going to maintain his position in front of Steve Lane with David Schofield back behind. Actually, Cosgrove left him in pit road. Yeah, Cody Cosgrove with a much shorter stop. But, man, Jack Belton right there splitting in the middle. He is yet to make his stop. We're going to have to see how he cycles through. But right now, as they run, Janey, Challoner, Kingsbury, Cosgrove, Belton. It looks like 36 seconds. 36 seconds is the pit delta. Or the time, actually the time spent on pit lane, not including entry and exit. So, going to lose, I'd probably say about 50 seconds, both slowing down and speeding back up. Going to be fun to watch these guys as they continue on, though.
Very interesting to me that Challoner and Janey are still in the same strategy. I really thought I would have seen Challoner duck in before Janey. Like, if this is me coming up right here as Challoner or Janey, honestly, I'm diving down the pit lane. I don't want to be in lap traffic. And there's no traffic behind them if they pit, delta-wise.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised there not to see Janey tuck in behind that lapped car just to try to maximize the draft. And they both come into pit now at the same time.
And now they're both behind the lap car.
Oh, going into the grass on pit entry, there was Janey, and that's going to hurt him. We're going to have to watch the pit time, see how they cycle out.
And this is why if I were Challoner, I would have pitted a couple laps earlier. Imagine he got slowed down on the pit entry. That might have been just all he needed to get by.
Janey driving through absolutely everybody on pit entry. And this is where things are going to be interesting because they stopped at the exact same time. Watching the time go up, tick,
Did I see one of them on the jack?
Full of fuel. They were neither of them, I don't think, were on the jack. They're going to be nose to tail once again on exit. 3/10 of a second faster was the stop for Challoner, but 3/10 of a second faster on pit lane was Michael Janey. So
Yeah, Janey
that's,
got up to speed a lot better.
yeah,
I don't know if
definitely
Challoner didn't
more
get off the
aggressive.
clutch right, or
But either way, both of those guys, those are the two fastest pit stops by about 2 seconds compared to anybody else that was stationary on pit road. So right now, it's just going to be trying to get things sorted back out between the two of them. The gap, though, has increased to now 1.1 seconds.
yeah, we'll see what the delta is to the rest of the field after this lap, but it's going to be somewhere near 30 to 35 seconds at the least. Oh, that is going to hold up Michael just a little bit there. That was Julian Emilani. I got his name right this time. And it looks like he's just trying to get out of their way.
Yeah, that's one thing about these leagues that I like a lot more than the official series here on iRacing is, once you kind of get to know everybody, get comfortable around them, you're much more respectful of racers, and you kind of treat each other just that much better out on track. It feels like, because it's like, okay, like maybe if I give this guy the spot now, he'll give me one in the next round when I need it. But yeah, look how hard these guys are pushing on exit there. Four tires up all over the curbing. If I was a stewards, I wouldn't want to enforce track limits here, because it's definitely been a fun one.
Yeah, I don't know what the scope of the track limit rule is for this race. We're going to have the same thing at Coda. If you went to Interlagos, they're going to be the same thing. There's a line you have to draw eventually. Spa would be similar. But yeah, I mean, like, my opinion personally, if there's surface is there to race on and it's not too egregious, it's fine. I don't really mind them using the green painted stuff. I'm not sure what the series is allowing, but it looks like no one's really gone any further than that.
Yeah, there was some discussion after the first race with how many incident points were racked up by drivers. I think Janey was in the 60s or 70s with how many he was racking up those off tracks. I think he said every single lap he was getting at least 2, if not all 4 tires well beyond track limits at a certain corner. So
yeah, but if it's paved and it's part of the track, I mean, why wouldn't you use it?
I mean, I guess the thing there is, if you look at most Grade 1 Formula 1 circuits these days, everything is paved. So, there's not much to punish drivers. It's not like Indianapolis where you dip a tire wrong and you're going, into a tire barrier, or say a street circuit like Long Beach or Belle Isle.
You see, that's why when I was driving the GTEs, we tried to stay away from the Formula 1 tracks and really stick to grassroots American circuits. That was really the whole idea behind starting the Sportscar series when it was called GT Americas. And we were visiting tracks like VIR and Lime Rock, and really getting to drive those circuits on cars that were really, really, really fun to drive on them. Summit Point. So these international tracks are certainly interesting. They seem really fun to drive. I don't have any experience with some of them, but seems like they're really producing some good driving and entertaining driving at that.
Yeah, and by the way, something that we kind of haven't really focused on, this series started as GT Americas, so we would literally only race, I think all of Season 1 was in North America. Season 2, I think we expanded to South American tracks such as Interlagos, but from there, we've grown and grown, and now we've got this European swing to start the season.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I personally like sticking with the American tracks. I think there's just something about these American tracks. They're a little rougher. They're not as smooth. They flow with the landscape a little better. This track's a little bit of an exception, but you can just see how much runoff they paved into it.
Can I petition that we go back to Lime Rock?
I think we are going back to Lime Rock this season.
Oh, are we? That's perfect.
Yeah,
I love that track in these cars.
Yeah, I think that might be the one track I make a return to.
Well, that's your home track, is it not?
Yeah, I gotta go and beat everybody again.
Except for Christian and Michael.
Except this time it's not on my birthday. Close though.
Well, that's close enough anyway. But...
Well, we can beat Christian and Michael. They might not be finishing.
You're gonna use that chrome horn just a little bit. Michael Janey looked like right there he was having the under braking, having the back end step out just the slightest bit. But man, he's making it look easy. About a second and a half now over Christian Challoner.
We got viewers on the stream right now, Chad. That's kind of who stuck with us. There was a lot more earlier. Who's still in there? Sound off. Anybody think Christian can catch on up to Michael Janey?
I hear crickets.
Yeah, I'm reading crickets too. I'll let you know what they say, Chad.
This is battle right here. This is Lane and Schofield. There you see Schofield in that Spark car, doing everything he can to advance up to the 4th spot, trying to get around. And, oh, very late on the brakes. Running wide. Can he square off the corner, get the launch on exit? No. Working his way back up the hill. It's still going to be Steve Lane in the 4th spot.
Yeah, you can do it, David. Go get him, man. Speaking of which, I really like David's skin. It's like an aluminum type. It's not white and it's not chrome. It's like an aluminum.
It's aluminum.
I really like that. Yeah, we're not British.
We're out here in Europe, over in Spielberg, Austria. So, gotta have to throw it out there.
Add random U's in there. Aluminium. There's an extra U.
There's an extra I in there as well somehow. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why do we keep getting off on these tangents? These front two, by the way, have opened up a 50-second gap on 3rd place. That's over half of a lap. A lap is 90 seconds, so these guys, wow.
Z. Huena said only if Michael Janey makes a mistake.
It's a big if the way that he's been racing so far.
Marwin Mafta says, let's hope it happens so we can see a hot last lap.
I say
and Teal says if anyone could do it, it would be him.
If I've learned one thing about Michael Janey, he doesn't make many mistakes. I don't want to say he's perfect, but he doesn't make many mistakes.
Well, RC26 from DDR beat you to it, Chad, and said Janey never makes a mistake in the chat.
Uh-oh.
Never.
Never ever?
Never ever.
Well, let's go to Michael Janey. Watch him make a mistake right here. All right, I guess I spoke too soon.
I don't believe in luck.
You don't believe in the
but
commentators'
I do not want to speak too soon. I don't believe in the commentators'
You know what?
I don't want to speak too soon.
We jinxed enough people with the commentators' curse here on this channel over the last couple of years.
Well, Teal said that he thought Seth Rawls was doing well, and then about a lap later he spun, so.
By the way, word from Tim Brokaw said Carvana came to pick up his... So in real life, Carvana came to pick up his car. The appraiser had taken the car and had trouble with the other fob, so he had to go to help. The car alarm was going off. He got distracted and spun into the pits to go help. He apologized to anybody that got caught up in the distraction, but wow, that's quite the distraction between him having his car alarm go off and then for everybody else seeing his car spin into the pits.
Fortunately, that's not the first car that spun. It has something to do with Carvana. We've been watching Jimmy Johnson all season.
Hey, don't you talk about my boy Jim Jam like that. Don't you talk about my boy Jim Jam. I can't wait to see him hopefully run some ovals next year.
Yeah, I would really be interested to see how he does at the Indy Oval. I think that might be a steep learning curve, but I do think like Texas or something might be good for him.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I've noted or that I've seen from discussions is the biggest learning curve is the braking, because in NASCAR you can't trust the brakes, and so now he's just trying to find that line in Indy cars, but
there's also aero loading, which he's probably not quite used to even yet.
This is Michael Janey, by the way, catching one of the lap cars. That is a very good move. I believe that's Jonathan Diggs that got out of the way there. Yes, it was. Great job getting out of the way. You saw Christian Challoner flashing his lights in appreciation of that move. And I think Challoner, he's turned off his headlights. He's going for that more light aerodynamic look.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. The McLaren's lights don't turn on at the same time as the other cars, so they actually turn on later. Because I remember at the finale at Homestead last season, everybody else's lights turned on, and I had no headlights. and I was like, it's getting dark, and then they came on, and I was like, all of a sudden the cockpit lit up and everything, and I was like, whoa, that was weird. But yeah, I don't, and they don't have daytime running lights like all the other GT3s. Interesting.
And this battle here, this is still interesting. This is Lane, Schofield, and Kingsbury. As well as Cosgrove a little bit up in front of them as well. So they've actually spread out. That's a lap car that they're going around there, actually. But yeah, you see those 3 cars with that neon bright car in the middle of them. That is one of the lap cars here on track. But let's jump back up front to your leaders. Michael Janey right now, ticking under 2 minutes. Might get the white flag this time. We're going to have to see when they cross the start-finish stripe.
A shorter lap here, so I think there might be another one.
Yeah, there's going to be one more lap after this one as I see them coming up the hill. They just now started this lap, so they're going to have 2 laps to go here. As we see a couple of these guys try and just sort themselves out for position. Not too many great battles on track. It's up. The lead is now down to about 3/4 of a second. I wonder if Janey's tires might be gone just a little bit more than Christian Challoner's. Last lap for Challoner 1:29.9 compared to a 1:30.1 for Michael Janey.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm just shocked that we haven't even seen at least, one move from Challoner on Janey. Not even one time where he really got alongside of him into a braking zone.
Yeah, he peeked his nose out about halfway through the race under braking, but tucked right back in line.
Christian's trying to hustle the car. You can see the back end of that thing is all over now.
Yeah, the biggest thing for Christian as well, he's got 55 seconds back to Cody Cosgrove, the next car on track. So here you see Barney waving the white flag. This is going to be the final lap here from the Red Bull Ring. I have to wait and see where everything shuffles out. But man,
we got a battle shaping up for 5th.
Yeah, Matt Kingsbury all over the back of David Schofield.
Yeah, and if we know Matt, he will send it because he can.
I say he'll send it anywhere he possibly can. They've got a couple of corners left before they start their final lap. So we'll take... oh, he's right there now.
As I was saying.
I'm not sure what's the big checkup was there for Schofield, but maybe something going on. Maybe he short-fueled? No, because his stop was a full 3 seconds longer than Kingsbury. Oh, but he also...
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just driving a little more conservatively, trying to check up so he can get a better run out of the corners, protect where he needs to.
And these guys a full minute off the lead, and there you see Barney still waving that white flag. 1 lap to go for these guys, sponsored by... I was going to make a NASCAR joke, but I'm not exactly... don't have the privileges to do that.
Powered by Major's Garage.
There we go. One to go, sponsored by Major's
Garage.
We haven't talked about them yet. Yeah, proud of them for jumping on board, giving us a prize. But through the final couple of corners now to the checkered flag. Out of the final corner, 2 races into the season, and 2 wins for Michael Janey. Challoner second once again. Let's jump back to that battle.
Flashing his lights. And speaking of people that are powered by Major's Garage, I believe Christian Challoner actually was part of their coaching crew for quite a while.
I believe he did coach in there for a little bit. This is still a battle though, on track for position. They've got a little bit of this lap to go. David was not letting that go up easy. Little fender rubbing. They're using those GT fenders. You know what they say, rubbin's racing.
Have at it, boys. Don't wreck each other. Kevin's getting up there. Let's see if Kevin can scrap it up with them.
Yeah, he's ready to pounce if something happens here between Schofield and Kingsbury. Kingsbury right there trying to make his move, waiting and waiting. It's under 0.2 of a second now. He peeks to the inside, thinks better of it. Couple final corners to go here for Matt Kingsbury. Can he get anything done? I think he's a little too far back at this point as they go by through the final corner now.
Matt Kingsbury.
Here he goes off the final corner. Checkered flag is out. To the inside of Schofield, and he's going to get that position by about a couple tenths. Wow.
Great finish. You know, we had 2 really close battles during the last lap. Janey and Challoner, Schofield and Kingsbury. This is an hour-long race, and it came down to the last lap for both of those positions.
Yeah, it usually does for some of these guys. Further on back, yeah, this is Jack Belton now across the line.
P11 for Jack. It's a good race.
Yeah, great to see Jack with finishing just outside the top 10, one lap down. Vincent L'Herbier, he gets a top 10, finishing one lap down, the first car off the lead lap. Brandon Lambert, you see him pulling into the pits here, getting ready to take the tow back. He is the last car on the lead lap. So as we get set for some post-race interviews, let's give you a full field rundown. As we watch here, let's see. Michael Janey, he's going to park it on track. We'll go back. Oh, he's going to turn off traction control, do some donuts for us. There's your winner, Michael Janey. Getting the win here at the Red Bull Ring. Then Christian Challoner, Cody Cosgrove, Steve Lane, David Schofield. Then it's Matt Kingsbury in 6th, Kevin Fanning 7th. Then Scott Corbin, Brandon Lambert, Vincent L'Herbier in the 10th spot. '11th was Jack Belton, then Julian Emilani in 12th, Brian Sohn, Seth Rolls, and Cody Erdman 15th, then Esfog Dennis with Jeffrey Wallace 17th, Jonathan Diggs, Justin Robichaux, and Harley Moss in 20th, then Twan Vandenbeld, Ben Meunier, Tim Brokaw, and Kieran Forrest. Mr. Big Dog himself, unfortunately, involved in contact and does not finish that race. Ray, it's been a fun, exciting first 2 rounds of the season. Both of them, of course, were won by the same driver, Michael Janey, but both of them also were close the entire time.
Yeah, you could have thrown a blanket over him. I don't know if Challenger just didn't have anything for Janey, or if it's just hard to pass, or maybe the car doesn't suit passing. We'll have to ask Christian when he comes in here. But it was a great close race. We didn't see a lot of side by side between those two, but I guess that's what happens when you're picture perfect on your lines like Michael Janey.
And it looks like we are set to be joined for our first interview of the night. That's going to be the driver of the number 1 machine, Christian Challoner. Christian, 2 races in and 2 second-place finishes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was actually much happier tonight than I was last week. Obviously, pole last week was cool and whatnot, but you completely killed rear tires, and that's why I kind of just fell back a ton at the end of that race. This one probably swung it too far the opposite way. I was pretty tight, I would say. I managed to get something together for qualifying, but probably just overcompensated on last week, and maybe in week 3 we'll be somewhere in the middle, but that was a lot of fun. It was really hard to keep up with Michael, as always. Definitely felt like I was in the fight, and I felt like saving fuel behind him was going to be the way to do it. And I saved quite a bit, but then totally threw it away in the pit stop. So it mattered for nothing, and actually ran out of fuel on the way to the line. As I was coming into the box, I was trying to get everything I could, and I felt like I'd actually slid through the box, but noticed it was then servicing my car anyway, so I was like, okay, fine, cool. But what I forgot was that in my kind of haste of thinking I'd slid through the box, I started trying to hammer the downshift pedal to get myself into reverse to knock it back, and I ended up in neutral. And I didn't know this until I was revving up and wondering why I wasn't going. I thought I was taking tires or something by accident. And by the time I figured it out, it was basically the same pit stop time as Michael. So, you know, all that work in the first half of the race was totally for naught. And then I was a little bit out of sorts on the outlap and whatnot, and let him get a bit of advantage, which was just with having to actually then save for that last little bit of the race and try and run that down. It just wasn't going to happen. But you know, it was a lot of fun. It was definitely better this week to be much closer, I felt like, to his pace.
Why did you not pit when you guys caught up to the lap traffic?
We did?
No. Before that, there was a second group.
I felt like we were at the lap traffic at the point where we pit. I mean,
why did you stay out? You got to do the opposite, no?
Well, you see, the thing is, in hindsight, knowing that somebody else was going to be pitting with us and that was going to check Michael up, what I should have done was I should have ran the extra lap, because I actually had another lap's worth of fuel. So I was a lap to the good on him in terms of how far I could run. And if I'd have known that we were going to get checked up coming into pit lane like that, doing that would probably have been enough. But, you know, you just never know. And I wanted to just mirror him because I knew that if I mirrored him and I could copy his pit entry, because I mean he was wicked fast on the pit entry at Barcelona, so I was like, okay, well I'm probably not going to gain anything on him there, so I figure if I stay with him, worst case I come out still in his draft, which is essentially what happened. So, yeah, probably not the aggressive option, but I mean it worked out okay.
We do have both Michael Janey and Cody Crosgrove waiting to speak with us as well. I'm going to move Cody up here first.
Well, you gotta.
Oh, I lied. I moved Michael up
All
here
right.
first.
Well, here, Ray, you're obviously new to this. Let me take care of this. Christian, as we wrap things up here, man. Anybody you want to thank?
I give a shout out to Ray for commentating this week. I'm gonna definitely go back and watch this because I think this is gonna be wonderful for sure. But shout out to Michael as always. Really clean race, really a lot of fun. Obviously, probably didn't look that exciting on broadcast tonight because never really went for a pass. It was trying to just do a strategy race. It was like one time where I like ducked out and thought about it and then went, no, I'm gonna stick to the strat. But it was just pushing 100% the whole time, and it was pretty funny that one time when both of us came out last corner and picked some slowdown penalty. That's just how it goes, and yeah, should be just as fun next week, and I hope it's going to continue this way throughout the season. I would obviously like the results to be the other way around, but with how close it is, it's a ton of fun to have really competitive racing like that.
Yeah, 2 races, 2 podiums. Best luck next week. We'll see you at Circuit of the Americas.
Thank you.
That's Christian Challenger, your second place finisher. Now we'll be joined by your winner here tonight, Janey, 2 for 2.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you up here in the booth. We've already got a love seat for Christian up here. He's got the most wins in league history, but you're working your way up there. What do you want? Do you want a futon, maybe a hot tub?
I have a hot tub. Actually, I was considering going in it after this because my wrists are so sore from that track. It's incredible. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, coming out here is enough for me and just having fun with the race. So everything outside of that is just, an extra bonus. But yeah, I mean, like always, it's crazy how Christian can pull up with what seems like no practice at all and suddenly match my pace. It's quite scary. After I have a lot of hours here before this. But that was a phenomenal race. It's classic Red Bull ring. Got the draft, you're gonna stick with the guy. And traffic working through that was a lot of fun. A couple sketchy moments, but Christian's really respectful, so he kind of backs off when he knows that guy in front's a little bit slower and we're kind of working our way through stuff. But it was a lot of stress the entire race because literally I just kept looking in my mirror and I had to turn off the relative box at a point because I was worrying too much about that. Because he kept getting closer and closer, and I'd mess up turn 2 and he'd gain 2/10, and then I'd work all that extra couple laps, get those 2/10 back, and then I'd mess up turn 4, and then he's right back where we started, and yeah, a lot of fun. But in the heat of the moment, you're like really pushing yourself.
I was like, qualifying between you two was really close. Fastest lap of the race between you two was down to less than a couple hundredths of a second. I mean, what's it like, when you and the guy behind you are that close on pace?
Well, put it this way, it's just the most fun thing ever. Because you're actually racing someone for the full hour. You're not pulling away, you're not by yourself, you're not just hot lapping. It's like you have to be on your A game, you have to be consistent. Every mistake you make is a chance for them to capitalize. Like I got so incredibly lucky that we both went wide in the final corner and had to serve slowdowns because I mean, it's a 1.5-second slowdown, and if I had to yield that and he didn't get one, he was leading the whole race. Like that. I mean, the person in front of you, and I think for a driver like Christian, the only way I'm actually going to get by him is if he makes a mistake, and those are, very few and far between. So, a lot of luck this race, I'd say, but it's so much fun to have someone behind you the whole time. It really is, and it was cool to be reversed because I mean, most of these races, even last season, I'm catching Christian and he's pulling away, and I'm behind him. So it's really cool to be in front for the first time and kind of see what the flip side of that looks like.
Yeah, we're taking a look now at the replay of your guys' pit entry. You caught some grass there. Were there any nerves on entry?
A lot of nerves. I actually brake about 150 meters later than the car in front of me broke, so it really caught me off guard. It was a it was a crazy pit entry. That was definitely one of the scarier moments I've had in sim racing, but in the end it all worked out, so can't complain. Um, yeah, but I mean, I thought I actually sped in pit lane because if you notice when I went in, I throttled it and then backed off because I actually didn't have the pit limiter on. So I was like praying I get the slowdown penalty for speeding in pits. But yeah, it all worked out, so all good.
Hey, it was a phenomenal race for you, man. And Ray, you got any questions for you? So you jump back in here.
No, Michael, great job. Masterclass performance as usual.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and got a shout out to Cody and Steve because I mean their pace tonight was phenomenal. I mean they were beating pros. It was crazy. We were all hyping each other up in voice chat, and it's so cool to see that. It really is. Double team podium is always great.
Yeah, I was congratulations to the team as well. And yeah, best of luck next week at Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
That's Michael Janey, your second place finisher here from the Red Bull Ring. And from one driver on the team to another, Cody, the winner of the AM class, third step of the podium as well. How does it feel for you here tonight at the Red Bull Ring?
I felt pretty good. I did a lot of practice during the week with Michael Janey and Steve Lane, and I gotta say the Michael Janey definitely helps out a lot, and he taught me a lot of things. So yeah, definitely special thanks to him. But yeah, I felt pretty good, pretty comfortable, kept my pace, and yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, what's it like bringing a driver like that on last minute, and then all of a sudden, he's giving you these tips, you guys are improving, and then you and your teammate are battling for the last step of the podium throughout the race.
To be honest, like I was stoked when Steve messaged me about Michael Janey, and I was like, yeah, we got to get on this, like, because we were gonna run the Lambo, and Michael Janey wanted to do the Porsche, so we were like, I was like, Steve, like, we should jump on this like right away.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys have had some solid performances here so far to start the season, but here you guys get two of the top three spots in the Constructors' Championships. It's a long season, but we can't look too far ahead. We'll start next week. What do you think of Circuit of the Americas?
I like that track. I've done a couple endurance races there, like 24 hours, so I've done quite a few laps there. So I hope I do as good as I did here, and we'll go from there.
Was there any pressure between you and Steve battling with each other for so long, being teammates?
There was a little pressure at some points because like I screwed up at some corners, and like he would catch up to me, and then he would back off, and then yeah, it was back and forth. But I tried to just keep my pace, and I just kept doing my thing.
Yeah, hey, it was so much fun to watch you guys racing out there. And it's great to have you up here in the booth afterwards as well. Who do you have to thank? Any shout outs for you?
Yeah, I like to shout out to Sim Experience, and to be honest, it's all got to go to Michael Janey too, because if it wasn't for him, like man, like I don't know what I'd be doing. Like he's just taught me so much. So yeah, I gotta thank him a lot.
Yeah, it was great to see that teamwork, and congratulations to you, Cody, on your win here in the AM class and your third place overall.
Thank you very much.
That's Cody Cosgrove, your third place finisher here tonight, Ray. As we wrap things up, what are your thoughts on this race, and what do you expect to see looking forward?
I mean, it was just a great race, and going forward, I don't think it's going to get any worse. We've got just some incredible tracks coming up. I'm personally looking forward to Lime Rock. I know Circuit of the Americas should be another good one. That's sort of where our European style tracks end. I mean, Indy GP, Lime Rock, Barber. We're gonna hit Bathurst, Mosport, Road Atlanta, and Daytona. I mean, man, those are some real natural flowing circuits. With Indy also being just an absolute classic, of course. So it's a real evolution for the schedule by the end of the season.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch it build, and I can't wait to see where the racing takes us the rest of the way. But yeah, next week, same time, same place. We head now over to Circuit of the Americas, as we mentioned, but don't forget to join us on Monday, where we head to Brands Hatch over in the Rallycross series. So, going to be fun to watch that one for sure. But for everybody here at Nitro Circus NASA and the Automotive Sports Network, from everybody, Josh Mertz, Ray Kingsbury, Brandon Lambert, everybody on down the line, Petey, just about everybody over here, Zach. I mean, it's a great team over here that we put together, and we do our best to keep things pointed in the right direction off the track, so you can watch guys racing great on it. But we'll see you guys for two great races next week as the championship series is off. But yeah, we'll see you guys Monday for two great races next week between Rallycross and these sports cars. So for everybody here over at NASA, ASN, and Nitro Circus, I am CubeCast, and we'll see you in a couple days' time for some great Rallycross action.